Hey everyone, and welcome to this deep dive. So, you're interested in different ways to build wealth, something besides the stock market, right? Maybe you're tired of hearing about those startup stories.
Yeah.
Well, we're diving into Codie Sanchez's Main Street Millionaire.
Okay.
And the whole idea is, get this, that real wealth might be hiding in plain sight, like right on Main Street.
It is interesting how we overlook those everyday businesses all around us.
Yeah.
We get so caught up in those high growth startups or the stock market. Yeah. But Sanchez really argues that sustainable wealth, it can be found in those places we take for granted.
Yeah, I mean, Sanchez herself was a corporate climber, right? I mean, what was it about that world that pushed her to look at Main Street instead?
Well, she was actually a VP.
Oh, wow.
At a private equity firm.
Okay.
But despite, the outward success, she felt like something was missing.
Yeah.
It wasn't giving her the control over her time or finances that she really wanted.
So she started to question that conventional path and started looking at Main Street.
So instead of chasing, like, the next big IPO or something like that, Sanchez is saying to look at what? Like the laundromat down the street?
Yeah.
It just feels so counterintuitive.
It does, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But think about it,
Yeah.
These local businesses.
Yeah.
The laundromats, the car washes, the landscaping companies,
Right.
they're kind of the unsung heroes of our economy.
Yeah, they are.
They provide really essential services. And they generate pretty consistent and reliable cash flow.
Yeah.
Rain or shine.
Yeah, I see what you mean. Like, there's a stability there that's definitely appealing.
Yeah.
Especially compared to, like, the stock market.
Yeah.
Like, all the ups and downs.
Yeah.
It can feel like a roller coaster sometimes.
It really can.
But why is Main Street particularly, like, ripe for opportunity right now?
Well, we're in the middle of, like, a huge generational shift.
Baby boomers own, like, a huge percentage of these small businesses.
Right.
And they're starting to retire.
Yeah.
And Sanchez makes a really great point.
Uh-huh.
A lot of them don't have a succession plan in place.
Oh, interesting.
Their kids aren't necessarily interested in taking over the family business.
So that creates a pretty unique window of opportunity, huh?
Exactly.
It's not just about, like, starting from scratch.
Right. Yeah.
There's this, like, potential wave of existing profitable businesses that are looking for new owners.
Exactly. It's like a hidden market.
Wow. Yeah.
But that's where Sanchez's insights become really, really valuable.
Okay.
She provides this, like, framework for identifying and evaluating potential acquisitions.
Okay.
Because, it's not about buying any business. It's about buying the right business.
All right. So let's get into the nitty-gritty here. What are some of the key things that Sanchez looks for when evaluating a business?
Well, cash flow is super important.
Yeah.
Is the business consistently bringing in money?
Yeah.
Then you got to look at the profit margins,
Right.
High revenue doesn't always mean a lot.
Right.
If the business is barely making any profit.
Right. You don't want to be working hard and only getting a tiny sliver of the profit.
Right.
So what else is on the checklist?
Scalability is really crucial.
Okay.
Can you see ways to grow the business, beyond its current size?
Yeah.
Could you add new services?
Right.
Expand your customer base?
Yeah.
Or even open a second location?
Yeah.
And this is a big one.
Okay.
How dependent is the business on the current owner?
So, like, if the whole operation hinges on that one person's relationships or expertise, that's a red flag.
Absolutely. It's like you said earlier, you don't want to buy a business.
Yeah.
Only to find out that it can't function without that person.
Yeah.
Right. Ideally, you want a business with systems in place.
Right.
That can run smoothly as you transition into ownership.
So you've definitely piqued my curiosity. I bet our listener is hooked, too.
Yeah.
This all sounds great in theory.
Yeah.
But where do you actually find these hidden gems?
Right.
Like these businesses that are ready for a new owner?
Well, Sanchez recommends kind of a multi-pronged approach.
Okay.
And it starts with networking.
Okay.
Just let people in your circle know that you're looking.
Yeah.
You'd be surprised who might know someone that's looking to sell.
So networking's not just for job hunting anymore.
Nope.
What other avenues are there?
Online platforms.
Okay.
Like BizBSell can be really helpful.
Right.
They list businesses for sale. You can filter by location, industry, price range, all sorts of criteria.
Wow.
But don't underestimate just approaching a business you admire.
Oh, interesting.
Directly. If you see potential, why not express interest? You never know.
That's a good point. So it's a bit like a treasure hunt.
Kind of, yeah.
But the treasure could be a thriving Main Street business. This is starting to feel less like Wall Street and more like an adventure.
I like that.
Yeah.
What's really interesting is that Sanchez doesn't just drop you off at the starting line.
Okay.
She also provides guidance on what to do after you acquire the business.
Right.
And it's not about working yourself to the bone. It's about working smarter, not harder.
All right, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
That's where I think Main Street Millionaire really clicks, with someone like you, our listener,
right,
who's all about efficiency
and
maximizing impact. It's not just about buying a business. It's about taking something that's already working and making it even better.
Exactly, yeah.
Sanchez
is all about finding ways to optimize and improve without having to reinvent the wheel. And she gives some great examples. Like, imagine a car wash that starts offering, like, a subscription model.
Oh, well.
Yeah. So the customers get unlimited washes for a monthly fee. It's convenient for them.
Right.
And creates consistent revenue for the business.
Now, that's clever. Like, such a simple tweak.
Yeah, right.
But it could have a huge impact. And I'm already thinking about, like, what other Main Street businesses could benefit from that kind of thinking? Any other examples come to mind?
She talks about a landscaping company.
Okay.
That revamped their scheduling system.
Oh, interesting.
By reducing the downtime between jobs. They were able to take on more clients.
Right.
And boost their revenue pretty significantly.
Okay.
These aren't major overhauls.
Right.
Just smart adjustments.
Yeah.
That get big results.
That's great. I love that.
Right.
It's about working smarter, not harder. And I think that really resonates.
Yeah.
With our listeners' desire for efficiency. Yeah. But it seems like Sanchez's approach is about more than just, like, the bottom line. There's a community aspect to this too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Sanchez is a firm believer in the positive impact that local businesses have on their communities. It's not just about profit.
Yeah.
It's about purpose.
And I think that resonates with a lot of people too. It's not just about building wealth for yourself.
Yeah.
It's about building something that benefits, your community as a whole. So what does that look like in practice? Like, what are some ways owning a local business allows you to make a difference?
Well, for starters, you're creating jobs.
Yeah.
Providing livelihoods for people in your community. You're also supporting local families.
Right.
Ensuring essential services stay available.
Yeah.
There's a really tangible sense of purpose that comes with being a Main Street business owner.
Yeah. You're not just generating wealth. You're like part of the fabric of the community.
Right.
That's pretty powerful stuff. We've covered a lot of ground in this first part of our deep dive. What can our listener look forward to in part 2?
Well, in part 2, we'll dig a little deeper into the practical strategies for finding and evaluating those hidden gem businesses.
Right.
We'll unpack Sanchez's framework a little bit more.
Okay.
And provide some actual steps you can take to start your Main Street adventure.
Sounds good. Okay, so let's jump back into our exploration of Main Street Millionaire.
All right.
I'm really curious to learn more about how to actually find those hidden gem businesses.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, we talked about the concept, but how do we, turn that into action?
Right.
Yeah.
Well, one thing that's really reassuring is that Sanchez emphasizes you don't need to be some kind of financial whiz.
Oh, okay. Good.
Or a business guru to succeed with this.
Okay.
She gives you a clear framework that anyone can use, even if you're brand new to owning a business.
That's good to hear. Because sometimes I think people feel intimidated by the business world. Like it's this exclusive club they don't have access to.
Right.
But, Sanchez seems to demystify it.
Yeah.
Make it more approachable.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
She breaks it down into really manageable steps.
Okay.
And it goes back to those key criteria that we talked about earlier. Cash flow, profit margins.
Right.
Scalability.
Yeah.
Owner dependence.
Right.
And these become your, guiding principles.
Okay.
When you're out there evaluating those potential businesses.
So it's not just about finding any business that's for sale.
Yeah.
It's about being strategic.
Right.
And discerning.
Exactly.
Making sure the business aligns with those criteria.
And Sanchez is a big proponent of doing, your due diligence.
Right.
Don't just take the seller's word for it. really dive into the financials, talk to employees.
Right. And just get a feel for how the business works on a daily basis.
That makes sense. I mean, it's kind of like buying a house.
Right.
You wouldn't just rely on what the seller tells you.
Exactly.
You want to get an inspection.
Yeah.
Uncover any potential problems.
And just like that home inspection, the due diligence, it can reveal hidden problems.
Yeah.
Red flags.
Right.
That might make you rethink buying the business.
Yeah. Okay, so let's say you've done your homework.
Okay.
And you found a business that, ticks all those boxes.
Right.
Yeah.
It's
generating cash flow. It's got good profit margins. It's not too reliant on the owner. What's the next step? How do you actually make the acquisition happen?
Well, negotiation becomes really important at this stage.
Okay.
Yeah. Sanchez gives some really great advice on how to approach that process, how to structure an offer.
Right. And what factors you need to consider when you're figuring out a fair price.
Yeah. Yeah, I could imagine that part could be nerve-wracking, especially for someone new to, business buying.
Right.
Does Sanchez offer any tips to, help people navigate those tricky conversations?
Well, she recommends tapping into some expert advice.
Okay.
Like business brokers, attorneys who specialize in these kinds of deals.
Okay.
They can give you really valuable advice.
Right.
Help you navigate all the legal and financial stuff.
Yeah.
And make sure that you're protected.
So having those experts on your side can make a big difference.
Absolutely. It's like having a seasoned guide when you're going into unfamiliar territory.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, but let's say the acquisition is done.
Okay.
The deal is signed.
Right.
Now the real work begins, huh?
It does.
Yeah.
But remember, Sanchez's philosophy is working smarter, not harder. She emphasizes that it's not about reinventing the wheel.
Yeah.
It's about taking what's there and optimizing it.
Right. We talked about that before, about those small but powerful changes, that can have a big impact.
Right.
I wonder if we could dive into some more concrete examples.
Yeah.
I think those would be helpful for our listener.
Sure. Yeah.
Who's always looking for practical strategies they could use.
Absolutely. Okay. So picture a local bakery that's been in the neighborhood for years. And the new owner notices there's this growing demand for gluten-free and vegan options.
Yeah.
So they introduce a new line of pastries catering to those dietary needs.
Okay.
And they tap into a whole new customer base and revitalize the business.
That's a great example. And it shows how important it is to be aware of, the evolving needs of the community.
Right.
It doesn't have to be this massive overhaul.
No.
Just a smart adaptation to what people want.
Exactly.
Yeah.
She also talks about a small bookstore that was struggling to compete with those online giants.
Right.
So the new owner decided to lean into the community aspect.
Oh, interesting.
So they started hosting author readings, book clubs, workshops.
Right.
And they transformed it into this vibrant gathering place for book lovers.
That's brilliant.
Yeah.
You're creating an experience, a sense of connection that you just can't get online.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Those personal touches,
Yeah.
they make a huge difference in building customer loyalty
Right.
and a strong reputation.
It's about creating a space where people want to be.
Exactly.
Yeah, it seems like Sanchez's approach is as much about heart as it is about, business smarts. It's about finding those businesses that are already, meeting a need in the community.
Right.
And then just finding ways to amplify that.
Yeah, I agree. It's about recognizing the value that's already there in these often overlooked businesses and then using your skills and insights to make that even better.
Yeah.
Not just for profit.
Right.
But to benefit the community, too.
You've hit the nail on the head. It's not just about, generating wealth. It's about creating this positive ripple effect.
Exactly.
That goes beyond, just the balance sheet.
Right.
It's a win-win for everyone.
And that's what makes, Main Street Millionaire such a compelling alternative
right.
to those traditional ways of building wealth.
Yeah.
It's accessible, it's impactful, and ultimately, it's really rewarding.
Right. I'm feeling inspired. I bet our listener is too.
Me too.
But we've covered a lot in this part of our deep dive.
Yeah.
What can our listener look forward to in part 3?
Well, in part 3, we'll shift our focus a little bit.
Okay.
To the personal and community impact of owning a Main Street business.
Right.
We'll talk about Sanchez's own journey, explore the rewards that go beyond just the financial ones.
Okay.
And talk about how you can create a legacy that extends beyond just profits.
Sounds good. All right, so welcome back to our deep dive into Main Street Millionaire. We've been talking about building wealth.
Right.
By acquiring and optimizing those local businesses. But what's really resonated with me is this idea that it's not just about the money.
Yeah.
You know?
It really is about more than that.
It's about something more.
Sanchez's approach really highlights, aligning your goals, your financial goals, with a sense of purpose.
Right.
It's about seeing that those Main Street businesses are often the heart and soul of the community.
Yeah, and that's something that I think we often take for granted, you know?
Yeah, we do.
We grab our coffee, we drop off our dry cleaning, we get our car washed.
Yeah.
Without really stopping to think about, how those businesses impact our lives and our communities.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, they provide jobs.
Right.
They support families.
Yeah.
They contribute to that vibrancy of a town, you know?
Right.
And when you become a Main Street business owner, you're not just running a business.
Yeah.
You're kind of stepping into this role of a community steward.
That's got to be really rewarding, right?
Yeah.
Just knowing that you're making a real difference.
Yeah.
In the lives of the people around you.
It is.
Like, it's not just about the numbers, the profits and stuff. It's about those human connections.
And Sanchez argues that, this sense of purpose, that connection to the community can be such a powerful motivator,
Yeah.
It can fuel your passion for the business.
Yeah.
Right. Help you get through those challenges and ultimately lead to even greater success.
Yeah. It's like that old saying, find a job you love and you'll never work a day in your life.
Yeah. It's true.
Like when you're passionate about what you're doing and its role in the community, it doesn't really feel like work. It feels like more like,
right.
your calling.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
And, Sanchez's own journey, how she moves from corporate to Main Street kind of shows that.
Yeah.
She realized she wanted more than just the money. She wanted to do something meaningful.
Right.
And she found that fulfillment, Owning a Main Street business.
It is inspiring, right? Like, it shows that it's possible to have a life that's both financially successful.
Right.
But also personally fulfilling.
It's not one or the other.
Exactly. Yeah. And what's exciting is that it's available to anyone.
Right.
You don't need a fancy MBA or anything like that.
Nope.
Or millions of dollars.
Yeah, you just need that willingness to learn, the courage to take action.
Yeah.
And that belief in the power of small business.
Right, to make a positive impact.
Yeah.
That's a great message. And I think it's really what, Sanchez is trying to get across in Main Street Millionaire. It's like a reminder that building wealth doesn't have to be, this one way. There's another way that's more, grounded and more connected to our communities. And ultimately more rewarding.
So as you're going about your day, I encourage you to really look around,
Yeah.
What businesses do you see that might have some hidden potential?
Right.
What needs aren't being met that you could maybe, address?
Right.
Maybe there's a Main Street Millionaire waiting to be discovered.
Right.
Right in our own backyards. That's a great thought to, leave our listeners with.
Yeah.
So it's about, looking beyond the surface. Seeing the potential in those everyday things.
Yeah.
And recognizing that the path to, wealth and purpose can be found right where we are in our own communities.
Well, thanks for joining us for this deep dive into Main Street Millionaire. We hope you found it insightful and inspiring.
Yeah.
And until next time, keep exploring.
Yeah.
Keep learning and keep diving deep.
All right.
If you enjoyed this podcast, support our growth by subscribing for more episodes on the best books.